Hi, and welcome to Across the Desk. Well, we're back for Season 6, and we're going to jump right into current events as we talk about the Oklahoma GOP and their pervert problem. So hi everybody, and welcome back. But also, here we go. There's been some items in the news, and not just one, but a few. We'll start with the Oklahoma College Republican chair. This guy got arrested for lewd acts with a minor, and it just goes into a larger pattern when it comes to conservatives, not just in the state of Oklahoma, but also elsewhere. But really, we can just point out to the state of Oklahoma. The Oklahoma GOP has a pervert problem. They really do. And when it comes to them saying that, well, you know, those Democrats, those liberals and progressives just want to groom our kids, well, I really don't know. Do they really want to groom our kids? And really, who is it that's grooming our kids? And besides that, I'm not really seeing too many Democrats in the news lately where they are having sex with children under 18. I mean, here we are, the president, the chair of the College Republicans of Oklahoma being arrested for lewd acts. Lewd acts. And it doesn't stop there. Because here we go. Also, just a couple of weeks ago, we had James Lankford come out. And it wasn't something that he came out recently. This was something he did a while back before he was really a senator, which tells a lot about James Lankford here. Well, he came out in a deposition against Falls Creek. Because, see, a 15-year-old was having sex with a 13-year-old, and the parents sued. They sued Falls Creek. Well, in a deposition, James Lankford, they asked him, hey, do you think a 13-year-old can consent to sex? Well, his answer was, yes, a 13-year-old can consent to sex. Now, hold on a minute. I know what you're thinking. Wait a minute, a 13-year-old cannot consent to sex. What was James Lankford thinking? Well, it goes into a lot of how he's thinking. He is going to defend whoever it is that's paying him the money. You see, he's defending Falls Creek because at the time, they're paying him the money. They're the people he's allied with. So he's going to defend them. And how does he defend them? By saying, yes, a 13-year-old can consent to sex. And then they asked James, hey, James, man, really, a 13-year-old can consent to sex? You have a 13-year-old daughter. What do you think about that? And he goes, well, you know, I don't condone it for my daughter. I'm not going to encourage it for my daughter. But if she would to make that choice, that's her choice to make. And I hope she wouldn't make that choice, but she could. And a 13-year-old can consent to sex just based on that. That's exactly what James Lankford said. And it came back up here right before the primary. It's probably one of his Republican opponents that were running against him. Because here we go, a guy who's been an incumbent Republican senator, and he pulled so many challengers. And the guy's really pretty far off to the right. You know, the reason why he pulled so many challengers was really because he didn't go far enough in the treason. See, they wanted him to go full-fledged treason and deny those electoral college votes to get Biden as president. They wanted to totally blow up the republic. See, that's what they wanted to do. And James Lankford, after the violence started, wouldn't do it. I mean, he was perfectly willing to do it up until the point of the violence. He absolutely was. He even had friends tell him, please, forget the law and the Constitution, find a way to keep Trump. And that's exactly what James Lankford tried to do up until the point that the violence started, the insurrection into the Capitol. That was a bit too much for James, and he decided to stop that charade and confirm Joe Biden as president. Well, that made a lot of people mad, and so they ran against him. And somebody obviously put out this video, this deposition of him stating, hey, you know, yeah, 13-year-olds can consent to sex. That's James Lankford, you know. And obviously, you know, he probably, with his own religion of his Christian Bible, probably wouldn't be too wrong. I mean, there's all kinds of teenage sex in there, you know, wedding off 14-year-olds to 30-year-old men. That's all in there. So this is all part of his culture, as you could say, right? This is what he was brought up with. So that's also part of the problem probably here. This is conservative ideology. These are part of their values. These are conservative values. where they are perverts and pedophiles. And then they want to claim that it's the progressives and the liberals that are really the groomers. When they go out and do stuff like this. If this really isn't grooming, where you have little kids flipping off the camera at the behest of a guy sitting in front of a "fuck Joe Biden" flag with women holding it with their butts hanging out, I really don't know what grooming is, if that's not what it is. I really don't. So really, yeah, the OKGOP has a pervert problem. And really, it's probably the whole of the GOP. And here they are trying to shift the blame right onto Democrats and progressives and liberals, saying, no, you guys are the groomers. But it's also interesting how none of these people, the Democrat side, have been arrested for anything close to what the college chair of the Republican Party here in Oklahoma has done or been arrested for. I don't see any of that. Or Ralph Shorty, right? Ralph Shorty, here we go. We don't even really have to go really far back. Let's go back. So we got this chair of the college Republicans. We go back a couple of weeks to James Lankford saying that 13-year-olds can consent to sex. And now we could even go back just a few years. Just a few years ago, a guy named Ralph Shorty, a representative in the Oklahoma State Legislature, was arrested with a 17-year-old boy in a hotel room, smoking weed and having sex. Yeah, Republican guy. Against gays and lesbians, of course, having sex with a male. And, you know, he's obviously was really harsh penalties for pedophiles as he's caught in a hotel room with a 17-year-old. Yeah. Well, you know, he resigned, obviously. Went to prison and got a divorce from his wife he was married to at the time while he was, you know, doing favors with a 17-year-old boy. And this is really where we are at with the Oklahoma GOP today. Right now, big news. Oklahoma college chair, president, whatever. He caught with an underage boy doing lewd acts, going to jail for it. And as you notice, there's been pictures online of him with Kevin Stitt, of course, and I'm pretty sure Kevin Stitt will be like, you know, don't even remember the guy. Took a picture with him, right? That's how this always works, isn't it? That's always what he says. I don't know him. Yeah. Took a picture with lots of people. Yeah, you know, lots of crooked, perverted people. That's who he takes pictures with. A lot of those people. You know, and I've said it before, I would never be seen in a photo with Kevin Stitt. I wouldn't do it. I think being seen in a photo with Kevin Stitt would actually make me look weak to do so. I don't want to be seen in a photo with him. I don't want to have a conversation with him. I don't. He doesn't meet those preconditions, and I have them. And that's just how that is. Especially when they're running around talking about grooming and then getting arrested for grooming. This is exactly what they're doing. This is where we are at with the Oklahoma GOP today. Of course, nobody in the Oklahoma GOP has come out and said anything other than, you know, denying they ever know this guy. I don't know, college Republican, who's that? I'm sure that's what it is. Oh, you know, that's pretty much what they'll say. That's pretty much what they'll do. They'll go down some rabbit hole as to why this guy was really not a conservative after all, some kind of, you know, planet operative, trying to, you know, gum up the works, I'm sure, trying to make him look bad. That's what conservatives are going to say. That's probably what they're going to do in all this. Because they haven't said anything yet. So that tells me they're trying to formulate a message. And that message isn't going to be the truth, because if it was, they'd already come out and say it. But they're not. They're going to manipulate the message. That's what they're going to try to do. They're going to say this guy wasn't a conservative. He's not a Republican. He's just a college student. He doesn't know what he wants. Come on, the guy's Latino. Why is he a Republican? I'm sure they're going to question that. They'll go down all kinds of rabbit holes over this one. But when it comes to things like James Lankford and talking about 13-year-olds being able to consent to sex, I don't know. I'm not sure how you defend that one. I'm really not. Unless you pull out some antiquated Bible verse to back it up, which means, hey, look how antiquated this is. Doesn't work in today's society very well. Now, not if you ask me. So, we get a bunch of perverts running around the Oklahoma GOP. There's 3 just in the last few years, 2 in the last few weeks, and 1 if you go back a couple of years. There's 3 instances just in Oklahoma of Oklahoma Republicans, conservatives, being perverts. Perverts. That's what these guys are. That's what they're doing. I mean, I can't see anything less than what that is. And it's all over the place. And like they don't have enough problems over there in the GOP here in Oklahoma with all the scandals, all the cronyism, all the lost money, millions that we don't know where it went. 30 million, I can think just off the top of my head, we don't even know. And that doesn't even include Epic scandal and all that stuff. Doesn't even include all that. We're just sticking with the pedophilia and the perversion that is in today's Oklahoma GOP. And we're going to see what happens. We'll see how they spin it. I'm sure they'll get some kind of think tank like OCPA to say something. Ray Carter will get out there and cry about it somehow, I'm sure. I'm sure we'll see something like that. I'm almost positive. Can't wait. I don't know that I'll do a follow-up show on that. We'll see. And just to let you know, here in Season 6, beginning of political season, right? We have a primary coming up. And here in Season 6, I plan to do a lot of guest interviews. I have several lined up already for talented and upcoming politicians. One of my first guests will be here in a couple of weeks, will be Nick Singer, and he's running for assessor in the county of Oklahoma. He'll be one of my first guests that I have for the season, and I plan to have several more. I've been booking them right and left. Anyway, hey, here we are. Across the desk, back for Season 6. It's good to see you, and as always, we'll see you next week.